So the fact, I'm kind of the opinion
They
that
love
they
to
should...
beat a dead horse.
Oh, well, because they need it. Which is another I was going to touch on later, but I might as well bring it up now. So there's a gentleman by the name of Carl Schmitt.
Schmidt.
And you have to pronounce that way because he's a German fella.
Schmidt.
Carl Schmitt. And his whole shtick, well, it wasn't his whole shtick, but part of his shtick was that the sovereign, or the politico, the governing body, in order to properly function, in his opinion, an enemy that can never be defeated is necessary, because then it gives the people a common enemy to always fight so that they do not then turn their aggressions inward. Sounds familiar, right?
Yeah.
You know the only problem with that? Carl Schmitt was the philosopher that was basically behind the philosophy of the Nazi Party. Card-carrying Nazi through and through.
Yeah, but I guarantee you there's plenty of, Democrats that probably like, he's a great man. Just kidding.
Well,
I don't know that for
probably
sure.
not, but there's probably quite a few that don't know who he is, and if given the information, they're like, oh, yeah, I can tell. Well, they wouldn't on its face, because Carl Schmitt wasn't coy about his philosophy. He was very clear. For one thing, he believed honestly that inequality is essential for society to be maintained, because there always has to be, which is, I guess, in a sense, especially at the turn of the 20th century, was probably true, because at the time it's like the scarcity of resources was a very real thing, and it was perceived to be just factual and could not be avoided. So I guess looking at the Sitzumleben of it all, that's probably what.
I'm just reacting to your words.
Oh.
Sitzumleben.
Sitzumleben is bringing back to the philosophy class. I'm so glad I learned this one. Sitzumleben is it's a phrase in religious studies that means...
Definitely German.
It is. Well, what you have to understand is a lot of the early study of Christianity, historical Christianity, was done by Germans. That's why a lot of the terms that are used are German for that reason. And Sitzumleben literally means situation in life, meaning when you look at historical events, you have to consider how life was at the time, which means basically you can't judge. I can't judge 12th century Europe on 21st century American, outlook.
Right.
Because like I just said, at the turn of the 20th century, resource scarcity was a very real thing. And they had no reason to think it would not always be the case. So you kind of have to give a bit of Carl Schmitt a pass here, because he wasn't the only one. Thomas Hobbes was another person that felt that conflict was not necessary, but inevitable.
Just a different story all around.